Everyone, welcome back again. I hope you're doing well. Through all this that we're all really enduring in this world right now. It's such a strange, surreal experience that we're all collectively experiencing right now with this world, and something's got to change. Something's got to change. For one thing, I'd like to talk about is that, and I mentioned it before, we're not using our voices. We're not having the necessary conversations. It's the part that's really missing. Not that I suggest that we always focus on what's going on in the world, because sometimes that can be damaging, right? We have to spend time in our micro world and less in the macro world at large. Now, the way the internet is designed and everything with the major platforms, when it comes to discovery, there's not really a place to be able to have these conversations truly, at least within the context that we're talking. And to me, I think that's a really scary part about the world right now is we're just seeing things change right in front of us. We see the corruption is so outward. It doesn't even hide a smile anymore. And I think we're all in just a little bit of shock. I think we're in the grieving process, in the early process of grieving. And the problem with that is it's going to take us a long time to work through this before something happens. And something does need to happen, I'm worried about these upcoming midterms. I'm going to talk some politics here. With everything that's going on with the voting, let's first start with Doge. All of the Social Security numbers, all that stuff has been taken. Okay. That's number one. Number two, the voting companies have been bought out by Republicans. Number three, the media has been bought out of Republicans. Number four, we are seeing them seizing ballots from the 2020 elections so they can tamper with evidence. This is just obvious. This is my opinion, but I'd just like to preface that. But to me, I so outwardly see what's attempting to be done to make this world the world they want it to be, that world where we own nothing, the death of the middle class, that we all are work slaves that can barely get by, right? Working 1, 2, or possibly 3 jobs. And what's so awful about that? It's inherently evil because we're here to experience more than anything. And so many of us are lost on how to experience our own lives and learn a new skill and experience joy. I do think that happiness doesn't really exist in this world anymore. The best that you have is peace. And to me, I just, I think this is the like I said, this is the undercurrent that's permeating all aspects of our lives in a way that kind of takes over, that invites worry, concern, doubt, fear, and the Bible talks about fear more than anything. And so, we are being called to try to approach things a little bit differently, a little bit more pragmatically, perhaps. But so, anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I do think that we have a big problem that needs fixing. And the question is, how do we come together to do it, to generate a large voice? All the voices right now are disparate from one another. It's not effective, right? We need unity. We need to have a voice that says, no, this is not what's happening. We need to take our power back because we hold all the power. Consumers hold all the power. And guess what? If people could afford to do a mass strike, for a week or two to crash the economy, it would be the thing that's necessary to be done. But a lot of us are not in that position to be able to do that. But that doesn't mean that there's still not a subset of us that are currently in the liminal space of our lives that can't do something purposeful and helpful to this world. I know it's scary out there. It paints a target on your back. But complacency, lack of action, bystander effect assures the outcome. It practically assures it. That's what we're seeing right now. Nothing's happening, and all this stuff is just transpiring. It's alarming. So I just want to let you know you're valid for the way you feel. If you feel that way, I feel that way. I think a lot of people feel that way to a varying degree. And so we just need to recognize that for a moment and really ruminate on what can we do. I know that almost seems like a rhetorical question because, in our position, what can we do? But if we were to share a unified voice to bring people together for this purpose, I think it could have a massive effect on how things transpire to potentially, create accountability where there's none, to put up a resistance, because there needs to be resistance to what's going on. Seems like no one's putting up resistance right now. I don't know if that's just a cultural thing. As Americans, we're all really nice, or what that's about, or if we feel powerless, or if we're just living in our own micro world and we're just not paying attention. I want to tell you a quick story real quick before I end this. So I had a grandma, my paternal grandmother. Her name is Helen. And, she told me in 2004, this was a couple of years before she died, you have to be involved in politics. You have to. She was emphatic with this. And I really wasn't too much into politics until Trump got into office, and I recognized during his first administration just how damaging things could get. I honestly thought during his first administration is what would be happening now. So, I was prophetic in my feeling about it, even though it was delayed, even though it was like a soft release the first time. And then somehow January 6th happened, and that wasn't disqualifying. Or the Bitcoin that he, released one day before he got into office. Apparently that's not. I don't get it. I don't get it. If we live in a world without accountability, we're in serious trouble, because accountability also aligns with truth. One beautiful thing about truth is you can't change truth. Truth is just truth. Truth is love. Fear is hate. And I think we need to recognize for a moment how we focus our attention and manifest in this world the future that we are going to all collectively live in. Because we're all main characters in our story, right? And I don't like the thought that things are just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse for the rest of my life. There was a time, a more simple time. I'm not saying life is easy, but a more simple time where we're not seeing so much outward corruption and so much devastation in this world. And we need to recognize for a moment that what's wrong is wrong, and what's right is right. So stick around if you want to hear more, and just know, like I said, you're justified for the way you feel. Peace and love to you all. Until next time, see ya.